So thank you everybody for joining in. This webinar today is recorded, so excited to have you all with us. We are doing this as kind of a part one. This year, a new thing we're trying out to share a little bit about the eWeek program before our traditional orientation takes place. That will still happen in January, but treat this as just an information session about the program, how we stand it up each year, and just kind of the work that goes into the program by our volunteers on the K-12 committee, and just some of the efforts that are required to make that happen. And most importantly, how you as our volunteers can get engaged if you want to earlier in the process. So, again, like I said, treat this as part one of volunteer orientation. There will be part two in January. That is when we will sign up for our class visits and actually connect you with teachers. So this is just for information today. This is not for classroom visit sign up. This is just knowledge. But we do definitely want to highlight some of the new things we have in place this year to grow our teacher pipeline, our teacher listserv, and just kind of reach more schools and highlight some of the additional resources that our committee members have developed for the year. So to kick us off, I'll actually turn it over to David, our K-12 Education Committee Chair this year, to get us started. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Liz. My name's David. I'm the K-12 Education Committee Chair this year. I'm really excited to kind of share what we've put together for, like you said, the informational session about eWeek. So just a little bit of background about National Engineers Week. It was founded in 1951 nationwide, to help increase the understanding and interest of engineering and technology careers throughout the nation. ACEC Indiana specifically have been doing classroom visits for the past 12 years. So this is the 13th year classroom visits, and being able to see what it's grown into today is really exciting. So, and exciting for everybody here to be a part of that. And really, eWeek is just an opportunity to showcase engineering as a career for curiosity, creativity, and teamwork, really to help inspire the next generation. So it's really exciting. Just a little bit about that, kind of said that growth, because last year was a very impactful, record-breaking year. We were in over 200 classrooms. We met over 7,300 students, which is really exciting. Visited 40 different counties throughout the state, and we had almost 200 volunteers. And that number, all of those numbers, we're expecting to increase this year. So we're going to need everybody's help. And one of the new things that we did last year a little bit is we actually had some television and media appearances, which was really exciting to, again, increase that exposure. So thanks to all of those that have volunteered in the past, and obviously all the people that have been involved in the K-12 Education Committee for all that. So a little bit about getting into the process, and that's really what this part one webinar is about, of educating the entire ACEC Indiana, membership on how the process works. So how does ACEC Indiana reach its teachers? So they're really engaged with teachers all year round. So they send out their contact list has over 1,900 emails that are really targeting middle, high school, and STEM teachers to really maximize that impact. There's quarterly newsletters. There's educator-focused conferences that we go to all the time. We're involved with Project Lead the Way, Department of Education, for other direct promotion, not just for eWeek, but for other stuff, but eWeek specifically too. And then the K-12 education, there's a whole subcommittee dedicated to teacher outreach. We're trying to grow that listserv of teachers. Like we hit 40 counties last year, but we're really wanting to also target some of those under-engaged counties, trying to get a lot of them involved, touch every part of the state, because we all know that there's talent and students everywhere that we really want to connect with. So that's some of the things that we're doing this year to help engage with those teachers. And so a little bit about the teacher sign-up process. So actually yesterday is whenever the first round of information went out to teachers. So it's really open from October 1st through about December 15th. That we send direct communications to the teachers that we have on our current listserv. And so they can submit the classroom request via the form that you kind of see there. They fill out information like, time that they're available, when they want the volunteers during E-Week. And then also they can also request specific volunteers if they've had a really good experience in the past, which a lot of them have. We've done, when we do the kind of closeout surveys, they've really, there's been some volunteers that have been going to the same classroom from year to year. So there might be, as some of these teachers request the classroom, there may be someone that are filled up as like open, but really there's already a volunteer assigned to that.
So I can take over for just a
Yeah.
little bit to talk about the experience for you, the volunteer. And many of you know you've already engaged with our brand new website. So registering for events is kind of a new process that looks different. So we thought we would try something new with signing you up as volunteers. That will go through our standard website. It's an event on our page. So get your profile updated and make sure you can log in and register for events. Obviously, it's free to register for volunteer orientation. But that part 2 will be January 20th. So make sure you show up for that. And if you're a returning volunteer, you know that that date is critical. Not so much that a lot of information changes year to year, but that's the day that you all are given access to sign up for classrooms. And so those that are on the orientation webinar itself get access first. And so hopefully everybody that's signing up for classrooms shows up then. So this is the page that you'll see when you go to our website. Sign up for this. Everybody that's on today will get kind of a little prompt from me to go in and do that, but you'll register just like any other ACEC event. We do, again, for those returning, you know this, but for brand new folks on the call today, we do divide up our outreach efforts for E-Week by NDOT district. And so you'll see this throughout the program that we kind of cluster our counties together through NDOT district. And so when we're talking about the Fort Wayne NDOT district, that's Northeast region, right? And so on. You'll see them broken down this way when we actually sign up for classrooms in Sign Up Genius. And so something new we're trying this year, when you register to be a volunteer on the event page on ACEC's website, you'll actually get to tell us exactly what region you want to volunteer in. All of them, these 3 regions I'd be willing to travel to. And part of that is to be mindful that you, the volunteer, can only get in your car and drive so far, right? And we acknowledge that. So to the extent you are willing and able to travel more than one NDOT district, would love for you to indicate that. This will be extremely helpful to me later on in the sign up process when I'm down to 30 classrooms and some are in the West region, some are in the Southeast, and I'm desperately trying to fill in the gaps for to make sure that all those classrooms are filled. And this will help me target those volunteers that have said, hey, I'm willing to volunteer in the West region. You bet. I'm going to call those people first and say, is there any way you can help me out, connect me with one of your colleagues, or can you take an additional classroom? So it'll just help me target our volunteers a little more directly. I saw something come through in the chat. If you're NDOT or DPW, you should be able to register. We set our website up in a way that you should be able to make a guest account and log in. I've tested that. I hope it works. If you experience trouble, let me know. But this is not just there's not ideally not a separate way for ACEC members as well as like NDOT, DPW, Citizens Energy. We know we have a lot of our public sector friends join us for this effort. So hopefully you can go through this process the same way, and the login is not required. It's just to kind of make a guest registration. So hopefully that works the same for you. If you experience any trouble, please let me know. And once you get through the registration process between now, when you sign up to attend part 2 of the orientation, essentially, in January, I'm working with all the teachers to get them into a nice schedule, and that will be reflected for all of you in Sign Up Genius. This is what it will look like. You'll have the date and time, location of the school, the city that it's located in, and then a spot over here to actually sign up for that classroom. Again, familiar to a lot of you that are returning, but I want to make sure those that are new kind of see this in advance. So we won't release this until that part 2 in January, but just want to make sure you've had a chance to see what this looks like. But our goal is to make sure that every single classroom that's requested of us gets a volunteer. And the guidance that I give the teachers is that they're only allowed to request up to 5 classroom visits. As the program grows, as things evolve, we might have to revisit that number, but for now, that's what we've guided the teachers, is that you can have a volunteer in your school for the week up to 5 times. Usually it's more like 2 or 3, right? They've got a couple STEM classes they want to make sure we hit, or the entire 5th grade level wants a visitor, so that'll be reflected a couple of times. So that's usually the most you'll see. Up to 5 that's kind of rare, but it does happen. So, but that's what that looks like. So for all of you joining us, would love your help in promoting eWeek early with all the educators that are in your network already. A lot of you are parents, a lot of you are engaged at the school board level or in your communities. We know that you're our best megaphone for getting this program out there into our educator space. We are doing a lot. We have our listserv, we've got our subcommittee with dedicated templates and kind of guidance on certain counties they're targeting. So we are doing a lot of work in the committee space, but we would love your help as well. So if you want to help just kind of spread the word about this to teachers in your community, in your personal network, there is an entire Google Drive. I'm not going to click on it for fear of messing up our webinar here, but there is an entire Google Drive dedicated to all the flyers. They've been updated for 2026, email templates you can use, graphics, everything is going to live in there, and you all have access to it now. So feel free to jump in there and grab whatever you need if you want to help us promote this program. I will just say that anything you give a teacher kind of through this method would just be you encouraging them to sign up for ACEC notices and to fill out the event form and submit their classrooms through that pathway we just showed you through Sign Up Genius. They'll get on my list, and then I'll put them kind of in the mega lottery list, right, for anybody to access. So that's kind of this route, and would love your support in helping us get there. So with that, I think I'll turn it back to David for a bit.
Yeah, one of the things that we're really piloting and launching this year is just an alternate way, not necessarily the primary way. We most 90% of the volunteer work teachers will go through the lottery process that Liz described earlier, but we did want to have this as an option because we got asked several times this. If you have like a personal connection with a like specific teacher, or if you're like you want to go to your child's classroom, we wanted to encourage that that you will be able to like go to those schools, but it's not necessarily, but just have that so that way we can still gather that information, but you're able to go to like that school that you have that personal connection with. So, we will have email template and flyers available to reach out through this like secondary method in the Google Drive. That way you as a volunteer can go and sign up with a specific teacher and coordinate that. And so that will be in there so that this visit won't necessarily sign up or won't be visible on the Sign Up Genius. It'll be just kind of something that you do, but we still want to gather that data on being able to say, hey, this is how many classrooms that we were able to visit.
That's right. And I saw something come through in the chat, a link to the Google Drive. It's embedded in this presentation. So I don't know, Dave, I'm kind of steering everything. So if you could drop it in the chat, that'd be helpful. Great. But everybody will get it. It's embedded in the slides and everyone will have access to those. So definitely we'll get that out to all of you so you have that.
Yep. And then so I just also wanted to highlight a few changes. We kind of covered some of them earlier, but as you go and sign up, we wanted people to indicate their preferred region at registration. Again, Liz kind of talked about it, but just to help fill those gaps. And that way we, at the end of the day, she can help kind of match teachers up at the very end. And that's not necessarily saying where you have to sign up. I think everybody will have access to all of the different NDOT regions. So that's not a prescriptive of where you're going to sign up. It just helps us fill that gap. Another big change is the co-presenter role has been eliminated from the Sign Up Genius. It was just really hard to manage. We got a lot of feedback on how, volunteers not always connecting and we had several of them really go unfilled. So there were 117 slots that went unfilled. This is not saying that we don't want people to join forces and go together. We actually encourage people to bring a guest, working with, again, our public sector friends. We just need to recruit that kind of separately, and it's a way to actually ensure that you are connecting in the future. So that's good. Also, in that Google Drive link that I just sent out, there will be additional like resources and simplified list of activities. So in the years past, we've developed some really great resources that we'll go over a little bit. I mean, you'll see some in that folder, right, between activity booklets, the PowerPoint template has been really updated, but we're also working on the simplified list of activities. One of the feedback that we got from the teachers is they really loved whenever we did an activity, not just the PowerPoint. So like we tried to make sure that that process was simple with activities that were accessible to a large group of people, that the cost was definitely, not included in there as far as like having a low level there. It's not like a big thing. So, something that could really work for different ages. So we're developing that, and I think it actually might be in the Google Drive. So.
Yeah, a lot of those materials are being updated in real time by our K-12 committee volunteers. So some of those things are there and some are to be added. So just kind of bear with us as we finish up some of those resources, but they'll all be ready before January. They'll be done by the calendar year. So you'll definitely be able to find everything you need in this same folder. Just in the coming weeks, we'll get all that in there.
Yeah. And so really, we wanted to highlight, how do you get involved in eWeek, now as this part 1 comes out. We talked about how eWeek is growing. So, and we need everyone to be a part of that. We need help recruiting new schools and teachers in the communities. We want to fill all the gaps because there is a really big need for reaching out to these students. So encouraging new schools to join, but also encouraging colleagues and peers to volunteer. That's huge. As we increase the number of teachers that are involved, which is fantastic, we're going to need more and more volunteers for eWeek, which is a big challenge. So in that Google Drive, we have break room flyers for your office, and so if you could just print those and post them around, send emails out digitally. I mean, those were all big things. And then finally, you're doing your part here, right? Volunteering. That's the most impactful part about these visits is being able to share with the next generation, your connection, your personal story about how you became an engineer or got into the field. I think that's really the most impactful part about it.
Yeah, it absolutely is, which is why I have a whole other slide dedicated to it. You said it well, David, but as the program grows, as more teachers get engaged, it will just continue to build and build. We are planning to engage our media partners again this year, hoping to make a reappearance on the Indy Now channel and get some, press in classroom visits with some news stations, not just in Indianapolis. We want to expand that as well. So cannot say enough that you being here today is so important, but the work that we're going to do in February to engage students is critical too. And so love that you're here. We'll love to see you sign up for as many visits as you can come February. We know it's kind of an all hands on deck program for our members and for our association. So just love that you're here and engaged in this work. And so thank you for volunteering because you're needed. And again, for those returning volunteers, a lot of this is familiar to you, but all of these resources will live in that Google Drive that you will gain access to. We've got presentation templates that are tailored to each age group. So we've got the light blue for like the younger elementary age students, and then like the darker, cooler, more photos in the background, project photos for the older students in middle and high school. So we try to differentiate that look and feel a little bit. All kinds of handouts and resources. Again, you're not required to use a lot of these handouts and print things out. It's not required of you, but we want to make sure that you are that you have all of the tools in your toolbox to use, right? And so part of that, as we've talked about, is just making sure we have a good toolkit of activities that have been vetted by our K-12 committee. We've looked at the big list of Discover E programs and activities and said these 5, these 10 are the best ones. And so that's still in its final stages of being updated. That'll look a little different, and we'll make sure you have access to all the details around that. But you'll have a very specific list to choose from. And again, you can go off book and pick something else. But for those that are new to this and just really want some pointed guidance on these are the best activities, our groups looked at them, we've tested them, and they work well and they're easy, and the supplies are limited list of supplies, easy to set up and tear down. So we've done a lot of that legwork for you. So hopefully you take advantage of that simplified activity list, and again, just all the other resources that we give you as part of being a volunteer through this program. Teacher checklist, handouts for students, it's all going to be in there. So hopefully you leverage those resources as you schedule your visits with teachers. Everybody, for participating in eWeek, you will get a PDH credit that will go out at the end of eWeek. So that'll come out in at the very end of February. It'll look just like this, just with the new dates on it. So just we'll ask you to retain that for your records when your time comes to submit to PFA. So just a couple important dates to keep in mind. Teacher signups are ready. Volunteer registration's ready. You can go to our website and do that at any point. Save the date for January 20th. That is when classroom signups will open. Again, those that are going to be on the webinar, you'll get access first, and then everybody else that's registered to volunteer will come after. So definitely want to see you with us on January 20th. We would ask that everybody contact their teacher by the 31st of January. And I know obviously some classrooms are still unfilled at that time. Omitting those cases, if you are paired up with a teacher, you know where you're going for eWeek, make sure you engage with your teacher before the end of January. So they know that they're on the list, they feel good. I will be emailing with them periodically until then, but again, they love getting connected with their volunteers as soon as they can, just to feel anchored and feel like, that, okay, I know who my volunteer is. I know who to get through the office protocols and check-ins, and they got the parking info. That just kind of takes that off their worry list early. So the sooner you can engage your teacher, the better. And then of course, eWeek itself is February 22nd through the 28th. And I will highlight for everybody, and all the years I've been engaged with this and many before that, the National Engineers Week date has always overlapped with President's Day. So usually that Monday is like kind of an off day that the school's not in session. That is not the case this year. It is a full 5 days of National Engineers Week. So again, back to the need for, more volunteer engagement. We're going to continue to grow this program, and I just anticipate a greater number of classrooms requested because we have a whole extra day to engage students, since that President's Day is the week prior this year. So just bear that in mind too, that we get a whole 5 days to visit students, which is so great, but also means that, it'll be an all hands on deck to cover them all. You can also, just a little plug for our website again, and again, it's brand new. So some of you may not have gotten in there and made your account or your profile yet, but we do have and this is probably strictly for ACEC members, so our public friends, sorry, this wouldn't apply to you, but if you're a member on the call, again, go click through our website. There's all kinds of resources that are public facing, but our new info hub, which is kind of the back end of our website, allows you to sign up for subscriptions. And if you want to get regular updates from me about ways to volunteer at various schools across the state, I get asked all the time from teachers, can I have an engineer come out to my career fair? And then, yes, so this is the first place I would go to promote that type of opportunity, is this subscription or this listserv that I maintain. There's about 200 members that are on here, so really happy to have all of you there. But again, if you want to be engaged in this all year long and you want to receive regular updates, there's a way to do that. I send that out twice a month. So I'd love to get you added there as well. So this is the point in the presentation where we will take any questions, and you're welcome to come off mute and ask them. I've seen a few come in the chat, but I haven't been able to read them very fast. So come off mute, ask any questions you have, and David and I are here for you. If you have nothing further for us, if you feel good and you got all your questions answered, you are free to go. You do not need to hang around, but just really appreciate everyone tuning in today. Just learning some of the early outreach efforts that we have underway and how you can get involved. You can go and sign up for volunteer registration and get re-engaged back with us in January, if that's all you can do. But just really glad you're here with us today. Thanks for taking the time. And with that, I'll kind of close out our formal comments and open for questions. So thank you, everybody.